house groaned as the wind howled outside, the storm battering the windows with relentless fury. The streetlights flickered, casting brief shadows that seemed to dance across the walls. Inside, the atmosphere was thick with tension, as if something unseen watched and waited. A woman, Anna, sat in her living room, her eyes darting nervously from one corner to another. The rain splashed against the glass like frantic whispers. Anna was alone, as usual. Her life had become quieter after the accident. The incident, something she still couldn't quite remember in full, had changed her. Or maybe it was the house that had changed her. She didn't know. She just knew something was wrong. It had all started a week ago when she'd begun noticing something strange. While walking down the street, she would catch glimpses of people. An old woman on a park bench, a man crossing the street, a child walking with their mother. But when she turned to look directly at them, they weren't the same. The old woman had a face too smooth, almost featureless. Her eyes too wide, like something that didn't belong. The man, his body hunched unnaturally, and the child's mother, her arms too long, fingers far too thin, clutched the child with a cold grip. At first, Anna thought it was just her imagination, but soon she couldn't ignore the horrifying pattern. The discrepancies were happening more and more, each time more distinct and terrifying. One evening she ran into Jenna, her closest friend, at the corner cafe. Jenna was a familiar face, someone who, in Anna's mind, was entirely normal, warm even. "Hey Anna, how's it going?" Jenna said, her cheerful voice cutting through Anna's foggy thoughts. Anna's gaze locked onto Jenna's face as she smiled, but when she blinked, everything changed. Jenna's face warped. Her eyes grew unnaturally tight, pulling across her cheeks, revealing sharp, gleaming teeth. The smile didn't reach her eyes, which had gone dark, black, and wide, pupils too large for the sockets. Anna blinked again, and in an instant, Jenna's face was back to normal, the smile warm and inviting. Anna's heart thudded in her chest. I'm fine, Anna said, trying to sound calm, but she could feel her skin crawl. Jenna gave her an odd look. "Are you sure? You look pale." "Yeah, I'm just tired," Anna mumbled, pushing the vision to the back of her mind. "I'm okay, really." That night, Anna lay in bed, staring up at the ceiling, unable to shake the image of Jenna's distorted face. She reached for her phone to call her friend, but stopped. Something deep inside her knew that Jenna hadn't been entirely right. The next morning, as Anna walked to work, she passed the same park bench where the old woman had been sitting the day before. But today, there was no old woman. Instead, there was a tall man with hollow eyes, staring at her from across the street. His face seemed to flicker in the corner of her vision, just like Jenna's had. Anna couldn't look away. The figure stepped into the street, the man's movements jerky and unnatural. As he crossed the road, his arms twisted in a way that couldn't have been human. Every time she looked away, he was in a different place and a step closer. Panic surged through her as the man drew closer to her, but when she turned to face him fully, he vanished into the air. Her breath hitched as her mind reeled, trying to make sense of the madness. Was she losing her mind? When she got home, she locked all the windows and bolted the doors. Still, she couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching her. Days passed, and the visions grew worse. Anna no longer saw only the strange flickering of people. She began hearing whispers in the dark, voices she couldn't understand, and sometimes her own reflection in the mirror would twist and distort into a face that wasn't hers. The lips would curl into a grin that made her blood run cold, eyes wide and hollow, and the skin stretched tight. Each night, the voices grew louder, and one evening, she heard a knock at the door. "Anna, are you in there?" It was Jenna's voice, though it sounded wrong, like it was echoing from the pit of an empty well. Hesitant, Anna opened the door, but she couldn't see her friend. Instead, there was a dark shadow in the hallway, a tall figure standing still. Jenna's voice came again, distorted. "Anna, you have to come with me. They're coming for you." Before Anna could respond, the figure's hand shot out, stretching too long, fingers curling towards her throat. She slammed the door shut, heart hammering, but the knock didn't stop. It was as something was waiting, something that had found her, and it was never going to leave. The next day, she finally confronted Jenna at the cafe, determined to get answers. But when Jenna walked up to her, something in her movement felt off. Her smile seemed forced, and her eyes glistened unnaturally, like oil in water. "What's going on, Jenna?" Anna demanded. "You've been acting weird. I need answers." Jenna's expression shifted. Her face contorted into something hideous, her eyes turning black, her features melting into a grotesque mask of something ancient, something evil. The figure in front of her wasn't Jenna. It was something far worse, something that had worn her face for far too long. "You shouldn't have looked so closely, Anna," the figure hissed. "Now you can see us for what we truly are." In a rush of clarity, Anna realized the truth. The faces she had been seeing weren't human. They were creatures, beings of darkness, hiding behind the skin of the people she knew, and now they knew she could see through them. Before Anna could react, the thing that had once been Jenna reached out, its fingers long and twisted. With a scream, Anna fled, but she knew it was no use. She could feel their eyes, their horrible gaze, following her every step. The storm outside raged as Anna ran back to the house, slamming the door behind her. She felt them closing in, their distorted figures flickering in the periphery of her vision. She was trapped, surrounded by monsters who had taken the faces of the people she once loved. And she realized, as the dark creatures closed in, that she had always seen the truth. She had just been too afraid to look. In the end, Anna knew the truth would always haunt her. The shadow in her eyes had been there all along, lurking beneath the surface, waiting for her to see. And now, she could never look away.